Hey gaming fans, so today's another Magic the Gathering deck. This one is, well, I stumbled upon this deck that I built a long time ago, and I thought I'd just kind of fix it up. Now, it's for the, you would have to play it in like a legacy format or vintage, basically casual, in my opinion. This is more of a casual deck. It's a combo deck. I wouldn't say this is like tournament. You know, you're going to win tournaments with this. But anyways, I thought it would be fun to kind of show this deck off because I kind of like building it. And, you know, I did tweak it a little bit since I've built the originally a long time ago. So I'll explain the lands after. So this deck revolves around the card Fluctuator. So it's pretty much turns all your cycling to be 2 less to play. And every card in this deck pretty much that has cycling is 2 mana. So your cycling becomes free. So, and what we want to do in this deck is we want to fill our graveyard full of creatures into the graves to use a couple of cards that will actually give us a benefit for that. And we do that by cycling. So cycling is you pay the 2, and then you discard the card, and then you draw a card. So once you get Fluctuator out, and that's like I'm saying, this is the key card. You hope to draw it, you know, on your opening hand or within the first, you know, 2 draws. Because if you don't, you might have a little bit of a hard, you know, hill to climb as you try to pay for the cycling costs. So, anyways, like I said, it's 2 mana artifact, and it reduces cycling to pretty much 0. So I also put in 4 Street Wrath. This was a new addition. I figure it's a cycling deck, and like I said, the goal of this deck is to pitch as many creatures into the graveyard as you can. So this one is actually pay 2 life to cycle it. So you can always pay that as long as you have your life points, obviously. And then for the rest of the creatures, we have 3 Bloated Toads with a cycling of 2. It has protection from blue, so you know, if your opponent is playing a blue deck, they're going to have a hard time removing them. Then we got kind of the same type of creature, same casting cost, but it's protection from black. But again, these all have cycling, so the goal is to not really be casting them. You might need to cast 1 or 2 of them, but your goal is really to cycle them into the graveyard. Then we have 4 Barkhide Maulers. Again, cycling, it's a 4/4, so not a bad card to actually cast, you know, if you can get a 4/4 creature out, because we do have to attack with this deck. This deck does attack. And then this is a green-blue deck, so we are also playing 4 Sandbar Merfolk. Again, all cycling of 2, 1/1 for 1 mana. 4 Cloud of Fairies, I should say. This one's a fun one. You when it comes into play, you untap up to 2 lands. So, you know, it's pretty much, if you have 2 mana, it's free to cast this one. But it also has the cycling. And the good thing is it also has flying, because we do play 2 equipped creature cards in here. So you might want to use to attack with the Cloud of Fairies. Again, more flyers. We got 3 Pendril Drakes. So they all have cycling as well. So, like I said, the idea is if you get your Fluctuator out on, say, turn 2, you pretty much cycle through your deck. Or you try to cycle through almost every card in the deck to get to your key cards. So then we have some non-creature cards. I have 3 Miscalculation. So it's a counter target spell unless its caster pays an additional 2. I mean, this can come in handy to hold on to. You might not want to cycle it if your opponent is playing counter spells themselves. Otherwise, you just cycle away 2 mana. And then we got Resend, which is return target permanent owner's hand. Again, cycling. And then we got Lull, which is a fog of the deck. Its creatures deal no combat damage this turn. It also has cycling. And then for the kill, this deck uses a card called Elephant Resurgence. So I got 4 of those in here. So each player puts a green elephant creature token into play. Those creatures have this creature's power and toughness are equal to the number of creature cards in its controller's graveyard. So what's cool about this is, you know, it's 2 mana. So if your second turn, say you play your Fluctuator, your next turn, if you can cycle through a ton of creatures, the next turn you could play this. Barring that your opponent hasn't put any of their creatures into the grave yet, they're going to get a token with 0/0 and it will die, or maybe a 1/1 if they have one creature in the grave. But you're going to end up with a big, huge token creature on, turn 3 or 4. And then for the other part of the kill, it's 2 exoskeletal armor. So just in case you don't have your Elephant Resurgence, you can actually cast a creature and then use these, and it says enchanted creature gets +X/+X, where X is the number of creature cards in all graveyards. So that includes your opponents as well. So, you can even get to a point where you play your Elephant Resurgence, say you have 12 creatures in the graveyard, he becomes 12/12, then you slap that on there, then he gets an additional 12. So your opponent's going to have some pretty big creature to have to deal with. Unfortunately, this thing doesn't have trample, so if they are pumping out little weenies and stuff, you're gonna have to just keep attacking and hope they run out of creatures. Or with this, you could put it on a flyer, and if they don't have flying, they're kind of in trouble. Now for the lands in the deck, because this is blue-green, I stuck with the green and blue lands that have cycling. So this is these come into play tapped, and then they just add green, but you could cycle it for 2 colorless. So we have 4 of those. And then we have the blue one, 4 of those. I put in 1 black, not for any specific reason. More it's just there for cycling, and a colorless essentially. And then of course there's the colorless one. So we got 4 of those as well. So they don't come into play tapped, but they only produce colorless. So, it's still okay. I mean, if you get one of your colors out. Then for the lands, the regular lands, I just put 3 islands and 3 forests. I was actually really thinking of replacing these with like dual lands or whatever. Pain lands or City of Brass or something else. Just because you just want to make sure when you grab a land that when you get your land, it's the right color and you're on color in case you need your counter spell or you need to put out your flying creatures or whatnots. If you need to pull out, the Cloud of Fairies, you'll need the blue, but you're obviously going to need the green. So, I'm thinking that this deck would actually be better with lands that can produce any color or produce green or blue. Because I don't play any other of the other cycling cards that are off color. I mean, obviously this guy, he's black. He's 2 black and 3, so you'll probably never cast him. But, well, you can't cast him. Yeah, so just to make the deck work. And like I said, it's a fun deck. It really does, it's a combo, so it really does revolve around Fluctuator. That's why I'm saying I wouldn't really play it in a tournament, because you'd probably get annoyed because you wouldn't always draw it on your opening hand. And of course, if your opponent's playing things that can break artifacts, you're kind of done. I mean, if you're playing at a slow pace, if your opponent's playing slow, you could essentially cycle through each turn by paying 2, but that would be a pain in the butt. Anyways, yeah, that's the deck. I just thought I'd show it off because it's a fun deck, and if you're into casual play like me, and you're really lax on the rules, or you don't want to play, vintage, but playing with the Moxes and all that stuff, this is kind of a fun deck. Anyways, let me know what you think. Throw some comments down below. Hope you subscribe, and talk to you later.